I never thought the desert could feel alive. Not in the poetic sense, not like the old stories about spirits in the dunes. I mean alive in the way a lung breathes, in the way something huge and hidden swells beneath your feet, waiting to erupt. The first time I heard them, it was just the wind, or so I thought. I was walking along what used to be Route 95, the asphalt cracked and peeled away, blacktop melting into dry dust. The sun was merciless, burning my back through my jacket, but I kept moving because the desert punishes those who stop. My canteen sloshed with the last half-inch of water, and then I heard it. A low, bone-deep groan. Not the cry of an animal, not the whistle of wind through canyons. It was wet, I froze. My boots crunched on the sand. I scanned the horizon, just endless dunes, a few rusted husks of cars half buried in dust. No movement. But then it came again, closer this time. That same guttural, bubbling sound, like someone was drowning in tar. I thought maybe heat stroke was getting to me. Hallucinations. The stories say that's how it starts, shapes in the mirage, whispers under the sun. But then I saw it. At first, I thought it was a man, staggering on the far side of the road. But his skin, Christ. It hung in strips like parchment half-burned, clinging to bones that jutted at impossible angles. The thing's arms were too long, dragging almost to its knees, and its head looked melted, jaw fused to its chest. It stopped moving when it saw me. I couldn't tell if it had eyes, but I felt it looking. Then its mouth opened, wider than any human mouth should, and a sound spilled out. Not a scream, not a roar, but a wet clicking, like bone on bone. That was when I realized I wasn't looking at a man. I stepped back, fumbling for the revolver at my hip. My heart slammed against my ribs, my hands slick on the grip. It moved suddenly, fast, too fast for something so deformed. It dropped onto all fours, crawling like a spider, sand spraying behind it. I fired. The shot echoed through the empty desert, but I missed. The heat shimmered around the bullet's path. The creature stopped, tilting its head like it was listening to the ringing in the air. Then it backed away, retreating into a dip between two dunes, disappearing like it had been swallowed by the earth. I should have left. I should have turned north and kept walking until my legs gave out. But instead, I followed. The air grew hotter as I descended into the basin. That's when I smelled it, rot and metal. My boots sank into something soft, not sand, flesh. The ground was littered with shapes, ribs, jaws, hunks of meat half turned to leather in the heat. And then I saw them. Not one, not two, at least six. All crouched around a carcass, tearing into it. Their bodies were different, some tall and thin like scarecrows, others bloated, their skin stretched tight over swollen bellies. But they all had the same face, melted features, slack jaws, and those long arms dragging in the dirt. One of them stopped eating. Its head snapped toward me, and in an instant, they all turned. They didn't charge right away. They watched. I realized too late that I wasn't the hunter. I was the meat. The first one lunged, claws out, and I fired again, the bullet catching it in the neck. It staggered but didn't fall. The others began to move, circling me, their shadows stretching in the dying sunlight. That's when I heard it, behind me. Another groan, louder, deeper. I turned and froze. This one was different, twice the size of the others, its back a hump of bone and muscle, its arms ending in jagged, broken pieces of metal fused to the skin. Its face was covered entirely by what looked like a gas mask melted into flesh. It stepped toward me. The sand beneath my feet began to vibrate. And then, everything went silent. I don't remember how long I ran. The sand blurred beneath me, every step sinking, every breath scraping my throat raw. The sun was long gone now, replaced by a moon that hung low and bloated, bathing the wasteland in a pale, sickly light. My legs were screaming, but stopping meant death, or worse. Behind me, I could still hear them. Not running, not chasing, just following. Their footsteps were slow, deliberate, dragging against the sand like something that didn't quite belong in the human world. Every time I glanced back, they were closer than they should have been. I stumbled into what looked like the remains of an old highway, cracked asphalt, buried under dunes, littered with rusted car skeletons. The desert wind howled through the hollow frames, carrying with it a faint, wet clicking sound. It wasn't the wind. I ducked into the twisted wreck of a truck cab, curling into the shadows, trying to quiet my breathing. That's when I saw him, or what was left of him. A man, at least he must have been once, sat slumped in the driver's seat. his head tilted unnaturally to one side. His skin was paper thin and stretched tight over bone, veins like black cords underneath. His eyes, God! His eyes were nothing but sunken pits filled with a milky fluid that pulsed slowly, as if alive. His mouth opened, and for a moment I thought he was going to speak. Instead, a slick, worm-like tendril uncoiled from his throat, twitching in the air, tasting it. I backed out of the truck so fast I scraped my palms on the rusted doorframe. The clicking grew louder. When I turned, I saw them, 3 figures cresting the dune, all humanoid, but barely. Their bodies were wrong, elongated arms dragging in the sand, spines jutting through skin in sharp ridges, jaws that seemed to split too far back. One of them was wearing a necklace of human teeth. They didn't rush me. They didn't need to. They just kept coming, and the space between us kept shrinking. I bolted down the highway, tripping over half-buried road signs. My flashlight flickered and died, leaving only the moonlight. That's when I noticed something strange. There were structures ahead. An outpost. It looked abandoned, just a cluster of old metal shacks and a radio tower leaning at an angle. But as I got closer, I saw light inside one of the shacks, dim, flickering like a candle. I didn't even think. I threw myself through the door and slammed it shut behind me. Inside, the air was thick with the smell of oil and rot. The candle sat in the middle of the room, illuminating maps, water canisters, and cages. Dozens of them. Most were empty. Most. In the corner, I saw movement. A face pressed up against the bars, skin cracked and blistered from the sun, eyes wide with a feverish shine. "Shut it off," the man whispered. His voice was just a rasp. "Shut what off?" I asked, my chest heaving. He glanced toward the far wall. That's when I saw the machine. It was bolted into the metal, its wires snaking across the floor like veins, pulsing with a faint red glow. Every few seconds it let out a low, mechanical hum. I don't know how, but I knew it was calling them. The man grabbed my arm. His grip was impossibly strong for someone so emaciated. "They hear it. They smell it. If you don't shut it off, you're already dead." Outside, the clicking had stopped. Silence. Too much silence. Then, the shack walls shook. Something slammed against the door hard enough to bend the hinges. The man started screaming. Not words, just raw panic. The candle blew out. I reached for the machine, but before I could touch it, the door caved in. They filled the room like a tide, towering, distorted silhouettes, their faces twisting into grins that were far too wide. One of them spoke, not with a voice, but with something that slipped directly into my head. "Run again. We like it better that way." The last thing I remember was the taste of sand and blood as something dragged me back into the night.
Subscribe to Horror Story Bar.